We have. Good. Yep, it's working. Now we have a difficult one to do this morning. The reading from the Gospel is difficult. And so I, in my wisdom, will try and tease it out, hopefully, in a couple of minutes. And I have to do a lot of thinking because, you probably understand this. So I'm sitting up there, I'm working, it's thinking, and I'm catching words in the readings and so on. And when I come down here, it's a little bit more difficult, but we won't worry about that. Very often, when people hear that particular reading from the Gospel, what do you think? You think Jesus is talking about, if you're not careful here, you're going to lose your life, you're going to lose your soul and go to hell. Isn't that what a lot of people think? Talking about hell, there was a very prominent businessman, and he died, and he went to hell. And when he got to hell, he discovered that hell was divided in two. There was the capitalist hell, and there was the socialist hell. So he then noticed that there was a long, long line of people outside the socialist hell, but there was nobody standing in line outside the capitalist hell. So he was a bit perplexed. So he asked one of the guards, why is everybody outside socialist hell and nobody outside capitalist hell? What do they do to you in capitalist hell? And the guard said, in capitalist hell, they boil you in oil, whip you, and put you on a rack. Oh. And what do they do to you in socialist hell? The very same thing. So why are all these people standing outside socialist hell? Oh, easy, said the guard. They're always out of oil, whips, and racks. Now, so hopefully that's got hell and any connection with hell and the reading from the Gospel out of the way. Jesus is talking about life here. And that's really what the Gospel is about, life here. And it says if you really want to have life and life to the full, you've got to lose your life. So he's talking about the false life and the real life, false and real. If you keep those two words in your mind for a moment. And if you look at for the moment, it's now where do I go from here? Well, if you look at it from this point of view, Jesus is talking about the false life, call it the false self and the true self. So we try maybe and come up first of all with a little definition of the false self. It's a difficult one to define in a few words, but here goes. The false self is a self that I have created for myself. The image I have built up in myself, the role I have, accepted or adopted would be a better word, adopted for myself. The opinion the impression I try to make on others, that's all part of the false self. Now, over here on the other side is the true self. And what is the true self? The true self is your real self in God. Now, maybe that's not going to mean too much for you, so let's explain that a little further. And this is maybe a good way of explaining it. Every single person in this church is unique. Do you believe that? And if you don't believe it, you've only got to look at science. Each and every one of us has a unique DNA. And your real self is a self you always have been from all eternity in the mind of God. The face you had in God's mind before ever you were born. Now I want to bring in two words that we use almost every day. Don't you often say that what happens when you die? You say, the body dies. And don't we refer to the body or the corpse? I don't want now to get you down talking about this, but I'm talking factually. Don't we often refer to it as the remains? You've heard that word used. It's not the real you, but there's another something else we have that doesn't die. What do we call that? The soul. Now, good. Can you define soul? What is your soul? Is it a little, I used to think as a kid, it was a little white, round little thing in here, and now and again I had to polish it and keep it clean. Is that what it is? Yes, spirit, but you can't see spirit. But soul is the real you. It goes back to that little definition of the true self. It's what God is. Your soul is immortal, and it's also eternal, right? It had no beginning. This is the interesting thing. Your soul, the real you, had no beginning and will have no end. Because it was always in the mind of God, and God is eternal. That's a fascinating thing. When you think, you are in the mind of God from all eternity. He knew your name eons ago. Isn't that a wonderful? Now, does that change anything for you? Does that change anything for you? So now, go back to the false self, all the things you worry about, the opinion you're trying to create for yourself, the role you're trying to create for yourself, the image I have in my own mind. All that will die and disappear, but the real you will live for all eternity. Now, the more you realize that here and now, the greater joy you're going to have in your life. And that's what Christ is saying. You've got to lose this false life, your success. You know how you worry about being successful? You worry about the clothes you wear, the image you create. Many people worry about that. I can see it. And we're all, what's the word I'm looking for? Pardon? And we're self-conscious, but we're all subject to, to that kind of thing, playing a role. How often have you said, I never really knew him? Huh? I never really knew her. Because what you're looking at is not the real person. And when you realize that the outer shell and the role you're playing and so on, that's not the real you. Inside you're beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Inside you are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Made in the image and likeness of God. So what the hell does it matter whether you're bald or you're losing your hair? Huh? Or you have a lame leg? It doesn't matter ultimately, because inside you are beautiful, And that's what really matters. One other word I want to make you aware of, soul. And that's why in the psalm this morning, the response to the psalm, we could say, what? My soul. Now you got a new definition for soul, haven't you? The real me. So try it in future when you use the word soul. My soul is my true self, my real me. Now, substitute my true self for my soul in the response to the psalm this morning, and see the difference it makes. My true self is thirsting for you, oh Lord my God. Doesn't that give it a totally different meaning? Rather than using this word, my soul is thirsting for you. My true self, my real self is thirsting for you, oh Lord my God. How beautiful that is. And that is where you'll find true happiness, when you realize that. And all the other things will pale into insignificance. And one final word, you'll be using it every time you come to Mass. What does, when you say or sing, the mystery of faith, what is that? You use it every Sunday, we use it every time we celebrate Mass. And in the middle of Mass we say, the mystery of faith. It's the mystery of faith. In the old, before that bunch of guys over in Rome brought out the new translation and made a mess of it, it was much more simpler. That you got to suffer in order to rise. Christ has died. Christ is risen. Christ will come again. Dying, you destroyed our death. Rising, you restored our life. There is no crown without a cross. And when you say the mystery of faith, you're saying, yes, Lord, I accept that totally. There is no crown without the cross. And I accept, because I'm human, and because it's a condition of being human, I accept suffering in my life. I want to finish on two things. Pull something out of my pocket. Simple little thing, pencil. And hopefully you'll remember this. I'm going to give you a little parable of the pencil, because it kind of sums up everything we've been talking about. The inventor of the pencil held it up and he says, I want to tell you 4 things. Your true worth lies within you. Number 2, as you go through life, you'll need to be sharpened. True. Thirdly, you'll need to be in someone else's hand, otherwise you'll make a mess of things. Number 4, you'll be expected to leave a mark. Isn't that? Do you want me to repeat it for you? Pardon? Well, will I repeat it? Well, what was the third one? And it's a beautiful little parable. So just once more, the inventor of the pencil, you remember this because it's simple, said to the pencil, well, your true worth is within you. And I love the second one. As you go through life, you'll need to be sharpened. Thirdly, what was the third one? You need to be in someone else's hands, otherwise you'll make a mess of things. And number 4, you'll be expected to leave a mark. And I want to finish on a little prayer that I pray every morning of my life. It's a simple little prayer, and it's a beautiful little prayer. It's very important to me, simple. And the little prayer is, my Lord and my God, take me from all that keeps me from you. My Lord and my God, grant me all that leads me to you. My Lord and my God, take me from myself and give me completely to you. Amen. So let's stand and recite our creed.